Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 2 of online learning. I hope that last week you had some time to relax a bit and get yourself ready for the last stretch here. So, this week, what we're going to be doing is, I'm sure you can see this right here, we are going to be working on rational exponents and radicals. So, really, what this is, it's us applying our exponent rules from last week into some expressions. So, what we're going to do this week is I'm going to show you some examples, and then you're going to try the Khan Academy exercises. I know that Khan Academy is not everyone's favorite, but why I like it is because these problems can get challenging, and one of the best things about Khan Academy is that they provide videos that show you how to do it, as well as you can get hints, and they will show you how to do problems if you're stuck. And then you can go back and try similar problems later on. So that's why I like Khan Academy, and that's why you're going to be doing that this week. So we know how all these videos are going to start. Here's my joke of the week. Zoom in on it. What do you call someone with no body and no nose? Nobody knows. Get it? I know. It's pretty bad. My girlfriend's booing me in the background because of how bad the joke was, but that's okay. Okay, so what I want to do real quick is I want us all to just take a look at this again. So this is our sheet of exponent rules. How I recommend doing these problems this week is you having these exponent rules out in front of you in some way, whether that's a printed piece of paper on the side or it's on your computer screen in a new tab, something, but I strongly recommend that you have this page open when you are doing these problems, okay? So, with that said, we're going to go through 6 examples, and then you're going to try some problems, okay? Here we go. Here's example 1. Example 1 is just a review of one of our rules, okay? So, I hope what you recognize right away is, hey, this is part of the fractional exponent rule. So, if we go back and we look at the fractional exponent rule, it's right here, right? So, in order for us to break this down, we need to put it back into exponent form. So what that'll look like is this is the same as b to the 2/5. Did we all see that? This is because, based on the rule, what we are raising our radical, so the radical would be, we're raising it to the second, so that's going to be our numerator. And then we're taking the 5th root of it, and we know that the roots go in the denominator. So this is just going to simplify to b to the 2/5. That is our answer for number 1. Number 1's pretty simple, and this is very similar to your first round of Khan Academy exercises. This is really just to get us going and to get us in the math mind. Okay, here we go. Here's number 2. We need to simplify x to the 2/5 divided by x to the 1/4. So, there's one rule in particular that stands out for this problem. I'll give you a second to think about which one it is. I hope what you recognized is that this is the quotient rule, okay? So we have the same variable, x, raised to some power, okay? And we know that when we have the same variable and it's divided, what we're doing with the exponents is we're subtracting them, okay? So I'm going to rewrite this so that we can see what we are doing, okay? This is the same as, equal to, x to the 2/5 minus 1/4, okay? So what we have to do is we have to subtract our exponents. So It's just subtracting fractions. We all know how to subtract fractions. We need to find a common denominator. And we know what that common denominator is. It is going to be 20. So we're going to have x to the 8/20. That was pretty messy. I'll erase that. To the 8/20 minus 5/20. Then we're going to do the subtraction because we now have a common denominator, and we're going to get x to the 3/20. And guess what? We have simplified this, and we are done. Boom. There is number 2. So I hope that you're starting to see the value in having the exponent rules in front of you. So here we go. 3 gets a little more complicated, okay? So how I would attack this problem is right away, I want to break it down as simple as I can. So the first part that I see is a fractional exponent, right? We have all of this under a cube root, okay? So I'm going to rewrite the cube root. What I mean by this is I'm going to rewrite this as, zoom out so we get a little more space, y squared over y to the 3/2, all in parentheses. And what power is this going to be raised to? Well, I hope that we're getting confident in knowing that the cube root can be rewritten as to the 1/3. Right? This is all based on the fractional exponent rule. That's how we made this connection. Okay? From here, now what we need to do is we need to break down what's inside of our parentheses. Okay? So now this is very similar to what we just did. So what we need to do is we need to subtract. Okay? So in order to do that, we need to find a common denominator. So we're going to get y to the 4/2 minus 3/2. Do we all see where the 4/2 is coming from? This 4/2 is coming from this squared. I needed to find a common denominator, so what I did is I multiplied this by 2 to get the 4/2. So when we do that, let's finish writing it out. And this is all to the 1/3. So now we're going to do the subtraction, and we're going to get y to the 1/2 in parentheses to the 1/3. So now what happens when we have a variable, our y, raised to a power, in parentheses, raised to another power? What exponent rule applies to this? Okay, I'll give you a second to think about that. I hope what you noticed is that it's the power rule. Okay, and what the power rule says is that all we need to do in order to break this down is we need to multiply our exponents. And when we do that, we are going to get a final answer of y to the 1/6. Because 1/2 times the 1/3 is 1/6. The 1 times 1 and the 2 times 3. So there we go. That's our third example. I'm going to change colors because I think that we've had a lot of red. Okay? So this one is similar to the last. Let's go green. So the only difference about this part is that we now have a coefficient, right? Do we remember what the coefficient is? The coefficient is these numbers in front, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to deal with the coefficients separately from our variables raised to the power. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the coefficients first. Okay, coefficients are pretty simple, right? 6 divided by 2. We know that 6 divided by 2 is 3, right? And then we're going to have 3 times y squared over y to the 1/3. Zoom out a little bit, run out of space. And then it's just like what we've been doing. We know that inside the parentheses now is the quotient rule. So what we need to do is we need to find a common denominator. And it is going to be a third. So it's going to be 3 times y to the 6/3 minus 1/3. And this is going to simplify to 3y to the 5/3. If you have questions about any of this, please reach out. You can call, text, or join the office hours. The office hours they were a little slim by the end of the week before vacation, so please utilize those. Please ask questions. So, last 2, we're getting there. Okay. So, here, it's a little different, right? Normally, what we've had is a variable, all right? We've had some sort of letter, an X, a Y, an A, or a B, okay? Now, we have numbers, okay? So these are handled a little bit differently, okay? If we have numbers multiplied together with the same raised to the power, what rule is going to help us here? Well, the rule that's going to help us here is the power of a product rule, okay? And what that says is that if it's raised to the same power, what we can do with our numbers, the 1/3 and the 81, is multiply them together. So what we're going to get, this is going to simplify to 81/3 raised to the 2/3. Well, we know that 81/3 is actually 27. And then we're going to get 27 to the 2/3, okay? But we're not done here, right? We need to rewrite 27 to the 2/3, and the exponent rule that does that for us is the fractional exponent rule. In case you haven't noticed, we're going to be using the fractional exponent rule a lot, so it's something that we want to get comfortable with, okay? And 27 to the 2/3 can be rewritten as 27 squared to the cube root. Now, what we need to do from here is we need to evaluate this. So, we have a couple options for how we do that. So, you're probably thinking, do I need to square it first? Do I take the cube root of 27 first, then square it? Well, the answer to that is, it doesn't matter, okay? Regardless if you cube root it or square it and then cube root it, you're still going to get the same answer. So, what I'm going to do is, because I think it's a little simpler, is we're going to do the cube root first. I don't like working with really large numbers. That's why I'm not going to square 27, okay? So we're going to do the cube root first, okay? And when we do that, we are going to get, what's the cube root of 27? Well, the cube root of 27 is 3. We're going to get 3 squared. We all know what 3 squared is. It's going to be 9. Okay? And that would be our answer for 5. If you want to, and I highly recommend doing, is go ahead and do the 27 squared and then find the cube root of that number. You're going to find that 27 squared, when taking the cube root of that number, you're still going to get 9. It's a good connection to make, so I would go ahead and try that. Okay, here we go. Last example. I know this video is getting a little long, but we got one more, and then practice time. All right, here we go. So this one we have 5 to the 1/3 times 5 to the 6th root raised to the fourth power. So what we need to do is we need to simplify this expression, right? This doesn't look that great. So what we're going to do is we're going to simplify 5 to the square root, or not square root, to the 6th root, okay? So we're going to do that. We're going to simplify it to 5 to the 1/3 times 5 to the 1/6 raised to the 4th, okay? We did this because of the fractional exponent rule, okay? Now from here, what should this scream at you, right? I'm hoping what that is screaming at you is the power rule, right? When we have an exponent multiplied to an exponent, what we need to do is we need to multiply our exponents. So our next step would be to do that, and we're going to get 5 to the 1/3 times 5 to the 4/6. Now we need to simplify that. What rule would help us simplify that? Well, our coefficient is the same. It's the 5, and because of that, we can use the product rule. And the product rule says that all we have to do when the coefficients are the same is add our exponents. So we need to do that. What we need to do is we need to find common denominators, and when we do that, we are going to get 5 to the 2/6 times 5 to the 4/6, and that can be simplified to 5 to the 2/6 plus 4/6, or 5 to the 1st. And we all know that anything raised to the 1st power is itself. So our final answer will be 5. All right, that's going to do it for today's notes. As you work through the Khan Academy exercises, please ask questions. The goal for the Khan Academy exercises is that you get in every exercise 4 correct in a row, okay? I do not want you to stress out if that's not happening. Try it 2 or 3 times, and if it's still not happening, take a break, come back the next day, and get some help, okay? All right, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.